One campus, one mission to bring you the voices that matter.
So, whether you're a dreamer, a doer, a maker, or somebody who's just curious about how things start, this is your space. New season, new perspectives, the same young minds. Welcome back to another episode of Season 2 of the Young Minds podcast. Today we have Rudra Kale. Welcome, Rudra.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I know you as my student, so for our viewers, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am. So my name is Rudra and I am a second year BBA student right now. And I was a commerce student from the beginning. I have been in a business family. So the business was started by my grandfather in 1981. That inspired me to get into my family business. I think it runs in my blood. I also started a cloud kitchen of my own when I was in 11th standard, and then I ran it for about 6 months. So after that, because of my 12th boards, I had to stop it because of the parents' pressure to get good marks, obviously.
Okay.
So that is why I stopped it, and now I am here studying BBA for my further ventures.
Okay. As you said, it runs in your blood, you know, people coming from a family business background. I've seen that, you know, the entrepreneurial spirit is embedded into them at a very young age. And just as you said, your family has played an important role. So tell us about it.
Yes. So firstly, I would like to talk about my grandfather, who is the founder of the business. The entire model of the business is it's a QSR, a quick service restaurant, and the name is Shri Datta Snacks. So we sell predominantly the Maharashtrian snacks, vada pav, misal pav, and various other Maharashtrian products. And so the idea behind opening the outlet was he was a lawyer by profession, and he got a challenge from one of his clients to start a venture of his own.
Okay.
And so that's what inspired him to start. And so further down, my uncle and my dad, they got into the business pretty late, I think after the 2000s. And from maybe 2 or 3 outlets, it has become now 10 to 12 outlets right now. And my family, mainly I would like to say about my father and my mother, they have supported me a lot in my entire career of, you know, starting the cloud kitchen, entering into the business. Since I was like 8 years old, I have been into the family business. I was not sure at early stages how to do, what to do, and my father taught me that by embedding in me the practical knowledge.
Okay.
So I used to go to the outlet, I used to chop onions, I used to wash dishes there. So my journey started from there. And right now I can cook any product in our entire outlet and our entire system. And so it's basically a skill that I've developed. I have been into operations for a long time now, and now I'm getting into the financing part. And basically the idea behind the cloud kitchen was that my father and my mother wanted me to get the hands-on experience. They supported me in that. They pushed me towards it, and that's why I had started it, and I think I gained a lot of experience in it.
Okay. And from your profile, and when I listened to you first time when you did your young disruptors talk as well, you said that you started at a young age of 8, you know, and just listening to you, your father and your grandfather has been some role models in your life as well. So how has the skills that you have developed helped you in coping up with the learning journey, at least in the last 2 years?
So I think that in the last 2 years, most of the subjects that we have had, including some like the operations management, business disruptive technology, I have connected a lot with those subjects. Not because they are in my field or they relate to my field as such, but I feel that because of my practical experience, I have been one step ahead of my peers in that section, in that subject, or maybe in overall developing those skills. Because at an early age when I started, it was very raw.
Okay.
It was entirely raw, and I was molded into that. So it was embedded in me, and I think that's what helped me to get ahead in the class maybe. So yeah.
Okay. So you said you started your own cloud kitchen?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So the idea was, it wasn't exactly a cloud kitchen, you can say. So I used to run the kitchen on every Sunday. I used to roll out a Google from Monday to Fridays, and I used to provide a very limited menu, maybe 2 or 3 products at a time. And I used to roll out a Google form in a kilometer radius of 3.
Okay.
In a 3-kilometer radius. And I used to get about 40 to 50 orders on Sunday mornings. And it was, the idea was that I wanted to gain those skills, how to manage my finances, how to manage the operations in the kitchen, and how to finally sell the product to the customer. And I had a lot of challenges in that. Like, for example, I can talk about my wastage issue.
Yes.
So, in the early days of the cloud kitchen, I wasted like maybe 1 to 2 kgs of potato.
That's a lot.
Maybe 2 kgs of onion. And one fine day, my mom just came running to me. She's like, this is really wrong. Like, whatever is happening right now, it's really wrong. You have the recipe with you. You have the entire measurement. The entire channel is in your hands, and still the wastage is happening. So I thought on that. I worked on that, and from the next Sunday, the wastage was literally in minus, we can say, because we did not get to eat anything in the morning.
Everything was sold.
Yep, everything was sold.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the journey of the cloud kitchen. It ran for about 6 months, I think. Yeah, 6 months, and it was during my 11th grade.
Okay. So again, sustainability is something that you learn by practice.
Yeah.
And I think the food waste has given you that eye-opening journey onto the food waste. But now that you look back, when you have a venture of your own in future, how sustainable would you make that?
So I think that whatever I have learned till now, sustainability is the core of any business currently. And it's not just about maybe communicating to the customer because they want the brand to be sustainable. It's about how we want to sell the product. It's about how I want to, maybe it's like, so my thoughts are that anything that I'm selling should be produced in an ethical way, should be produced in a sustainable way. So it's entirely up to me. So it's not just about the consumer. So I think in the future, when I start my own venture, it will definitely be sustainable. Right from the ethical sourcing part.
Okay. So let's just move into a different direction. So again, when you helped your family business back then, you learned a lot. Then you launched your own venture, again a learning curve. But now you are earning a BBA degree. So in the next couple of years' time, looking back at the 2 years of journey that you have had, where do you see yourself as an entrepreneur? Where does your entrepreneur skill stand?
The BBA course which I have decided to accomplish, so it was basically because I wanted to do MBA, and the first step towards that was this course, obviously. So after my MBA, I plan to start my own ventures, because family business on one side, it's not, I don't want it to be my only source of income. I want to diversify. So as an entrepreneur, I would like to diversify into various lines in the future. And I think starting a cloud kitchen, it was really connected to the family business, but it made me learn how to handle a business. So I think that this experience will surely help me in the future in the operations way, in the finance way.
Okay. Let's talk about food bloggers.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is very current, and whenever you, so in my doom scrolling as well, I search for places which are the best places to eat. So what's your opinion on, people who review your food, and then do you do any such influencers activities, or what's your take on it?
So I think that since 1981, when my business started, the family business, we have never ever paid any influencer, and till date, entire marketing is organic. It has been organic. So we were recently shown on the history TV, and we did not really pay anything. Like, people really thought that, oh my God, they're paying, they've started marketing and all, but no, it was really organic. And I believe that in this business, in the food and beverage industry, it's not about how you are marketing. It's all about your quality. What I feel is that. And it's not just that So when we talk about influencer marketing, it's basically for luxury brands, I think, or maybe some brands that they want to establish themselves. Our brand was already established in the market, and we did not need any marketing as such. So it was entirely organic.
Okay. You said that for you, quality comes first,
Yeah.
right? And in F&B industry, we know that, if your product is not good, quality-wise, your trust just erodes away. So tell us more about, in terms of quality, the taste, etc. What is that kind of a strategy that you take when you serve your customers? What comes first?
I think the first thing while serving any customer for me would be fresh.
Okay.
It would be making the product in a way that the customer enjoys it, and that includes the quality.
Okay.
And for me, I think it would be the uniformity in the product, the central kitchen which we have. So we distribute every product from there, which makes the product standardized.
Okay.
And that is what is keeping us up in the quality part.
Okay. So tell us how you support your business currently.
So currently I am involved in the data analysis part because my business is in Maharashtra in India. So I can't do much from here, and the only thing I'm doing right now is entirely focusing on the data analysis. So we had a few courses in our BBA course which taught us about Excel and which taught us how to use various tools in the Excel, and that is what I am applying right now into the business.
Okay. And I do remember you were trying to standardize the amount of salt and sugar that goes into your food as well.
Yes, so we are currently in the process of standardizing each and every product. Currently we have more than 60 to 70 SKUs, and for producing that it takes a lot of time. So we need to standardize all of that. So for doing that, we need to use the IoT technology, Internet of Things, and that's where the IoT comes during the standardization, because it was the basic idea is when we make a product, we use 1 spoon of salt, 1 spoon of sugar maybe.
Yep.
So while calculating that, so the inventory is never matched. So we are using IoT to measure the salt that is being taken in the spoon. So when you pick up the spoon and the salt is in the spoon will automatically measure how much salt is being taken out from the jar, and that will be connected to our
inventory.
Yeah, to the inventory. So it will automatically deduct the salt and the sugar and extra various items from the inventory.
Okay. Fun question. So what's the top 3 bestsellers out of your
So
product?
top 3 bestsellers first would be Vada Pav.
Okay.
No doubt about that.
Yep.
Misal Pav and Kothimir Vadi.
Okay. Okay. And I'm sure that there are fans for your products all over Maharashtra. Okay. So one last question, because we have our prospective students and young audience listening to this. So coming from a business family or not, or because you have that experience yourself, what would be that one piece of advice that you want to give them?
I think that when you belong to a business family or whether you do not belong to one, it doesn't matter. What does matter is how much work you are putting into it, how much you are able to sacrifice, maybe your sleep, maybe your schedule, maybe your fun time. So it is about that, because this is the age where we are molded into the person we are going to become.
Yeah.
So I think the main point would be the work ethic.
Okay.
It should be good.
Thank you, Rudra. It was fun chatting
Thank
to
you,
you,
ma'am.
and thank you for doing this with
Thank
me.
you so much,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you.